Okay.
I think you've done this before, once or twice.
Yes.
Okay.
To varying degrees of success. I'm very instinctive as an entertainer and a writer. I never quite know what I'm doing till I've done it.
He walks into my bedroom one morning.
I would begin, and you would be my clay.
In the ever-shifting landscape of rock and roll, one star danced between the shadows and light, constantly reimagining what music could be. David Bowie wasn't just a musician, he was a cultural alchemist who transformed himself as readily as he transformed art itself. Through 5 decades of reinvention, he crafted sonic landscapes that challenged our understanding of music, identity, and creativity. His was a journey that began in the streets of post-war London and ended among the stars, leaving behind a legacy that continues to inspire dreamers, rebels, and artists who dare to be themselves. This is the story of the man who showed us that the strangest among us might just be the most profound. Early life, the story begins in Brixton, 1947, where David Robert Jones entered the world amidst the rubble of post-war London. Born to a cinema usherette and a promotions officer, young David discovered his first glimpse of magic in his father's record collection. American rock and roll records that whispered of worlds beyond his working class surroundings. Innovation and darkness both ran in the family. His half-brother Terry introduced him to jazz and beat poetry, opening doors to artistic expression that would later define his career. But Terry's struggles with mental illness also revealed to David the delicate balance between brilliance and darkness, a theme that would haunt his future work. The saxophone came at age 13, a gift from his father that would change everything. Through the halls of Bromley Technical High School, he formed his first band, the Conrads, playing local youth gatherings and wedding receptions. Yet even then, young David wasn't content with simply making music. He studied movement with dancer Lindsay Kemp, absorbed mime and theatre, and began crafting what would become his signature blend of music and visual art. What was your introduction to David Bowie's music? Was it through classics like Space Oddity? Or did you discover him through movies like Labyrinth? Share your Bowie origin story below. The mid-60s London mod scene became his testing ground as he moved through bands like the King Bees, the Manish Boys, and the Lower Third. Each project taught him something new about performance, but more crucially, about the power of reinvention. In what would become his first significant transformation, he shed the name David Jones to avoid confusion with the Monkees' Davy Jones, emerging as David Bowie, the first step in a lifetime of remarkable metamorphoses. Rise to stardom. The summer of 1969 marked Bowie's first real breakthrough. As Apollo 11 prepared to touch down on the lunar surface, his haunting tale of an astronaut lost in space, Space Oddity, captured the world's imagination. The timing was perfect, but success proved fleeting. The following years, the man who sold the world revealed darker undertones in his music, but failed to launch him into the stratosphere he sought. Then came the moment that would change everything. In 1972, Bowie unveiled Ziggy Stardust, an alien rock messiah who would redefine the boundaries of performance and identity. The character wasn't just a costume change, it was a complete transformation that merged science fiction with sexual ambiguity and rock and roll excess. Alongside his band, the Spiders from Mars, Bowie created a theatrical live experience that left audiences spellbound and confused in equal measure. The Ziggy era unleashed a creative fury. Albums like Aladdin Sane and Diamond Dogs followed in quick succession, each pushing boundaries further. Bowie's androgynous appearance and provocative statements about his sexuality shocked conservative audiences, but inspired a generation to embrace their differences. His fashion choices became as influential as his music, with his flame-red mullet and otherworldly costumes inspiring countless imitators. This period also saw Bowie emerge as a kingmaker within the music industry. He produced Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side, wrote All the Young Dudes for Mott the Hoople, and helped shape Iggy Pop's career. His influence extended beyond music into fashion, art, and sexual politics, as he became the figurehead of glam rock and its accompanying cultural revolution. But true to his nature, just as Ziggy Stardust reached the height of his powers, Bowie killed off the character. During the legendary final concert at London's Hammersmith Odeon in 1973, he announced it would be the last show we'll ever do. The audience was devastated, but Bowie understood something crucial about stardom. To remain relevant, one must be willing to destroy what made them successful and emerge reborn. This philosophy would guide his next great transformation, as the glitter of glam rock gave way to the sophisticated soul of young Americans and the avant-garde experiments that would follow. If you could choose one Bowie era to experience firsthand, Ziggy Stardust, the Thin White Duke, or the Berlin years, which would it be and why? Let us know in the comments. Artistic evolution. By 1976, Los Angeles had become a golden cage for Bowie. Cocaine addiction and paranoia had taken their toll, leading him to flee to Berlin in search of anonymity and artistic rebirth. In the divided city's stark landscape, he found exactly what he needed, a place where he could decompose and rebuild himself once again. The Berlin period would produce what many consider his most innovative work. Collaborating with Brian Eno and Tony Visconti, Bowie created a trilogy of albums, Low, Heroes and Lodger, that merged avant-garde electronic experimentation with rock sensibilities. The wall dividing East and West Berlin became both muse and metaphor, most notably in Heroes, a tale of lovers meeting in the shadow of the barrier. Recording at the legendary Hansa Studios, mere feet from the Death Strip, Bowie channeled the city's tension and division into sound. This era marked a radical departure from his previous work. Gone were the elaborate costumes and theatrical personas, replaced by a more austere presence. The music itself became more experimental, incorporating ambient soundscapes, instrumental pieces, and influences from German electronic pioneers Kraftwerk. The album Low, with its groundbreaking first side of fragmentary pop songs and second side of largely instrumental pieces, demonstrated Bowie's willingness to challenge his audience's expectations. His artistic partnerships during this period proved equally crucial. Alongside Iggy Pop, who joined him in Berlin, Bowie co-wrote and produced The Idiot and Lust for Life, helping to relaunch his friend's career while expanding his own musical vocabulary. The influence of German electronic music, particularly Kraftwerk and Neu, combined with his work with Brian Eno, created a new sonic template that would influence generations of musicians to come. These years also saw Bowie's acting career flourish, with his role in The Man Who Fell to Earth perfectly complementing his musical explorations. The film's themes of alienation and identity reflected his own journey as an artist, while his performance showcased the depth of his artistic range. This synthesis of music, performance, and visual art would remain a hallmark of his work, even as he moved beyond the Berlin era into new artistic territories. Bowie was famous for his collaborations. Which Bowie duet is your favourite? Under Pressure with Queen, Dancing in the Street with Mick Jagger, or another one? Drop your pick below. Personal life and struggles behind the carefully crafted personas and groundbreaking music, Bowie fought battles that would have destroyed lesser artists. The 1970s saw him descend into cocaine addiction so severe, he later claimed to remember almost nothing of recording Station to Station. Living on a diet of peppers, milk, and cocaine, he became dangerously thin, paranoid, and obsessed with occult mysticism, even keeping his urine in the refrigerator to prevent anyone from using it in black magic rituals. His first marriage to Angie Barnett, which produced his son Zoe, now Duncan Jones, collapsed under the weight of their mutual ambition and the pressures of fame. The relationship had been instrumental in creating Bowie's early image, with Angie encouraging his theatrical androgyny, but it couldn't survive the excesses of success. Their divorce in 1980 marked the end of his most turbulent period. The shadow of mental illness, which had haunted him since witnessing his half-brother Terry's struggles, remained a constant presence. Terry's suicide in 1985 deeply affected Bowie, appearing as a recurring theme in his work. This family history of mental illness fed both his creativity and his fears, driving him to seek stability even as it informed his art. In 1992, Bowie found redemption in his marriage to supermodel Iman. Together, they created the private family life he had long craved, welcoming daughter Alexandria in 2000. In Iman, he found not just a partner, but an equal, someone who understood both the allure and the burden of public life. Their relationship, lasting until his death, provided the anchor that allowed his later artistic renaissance to flourish. Commercial peak and reinvention. The 1980s ushered in Bowie's most commercially successful era, though it would prove to be his most artistically controversial. Let's Dance, produced with Nile Rodgers in 1983, transformed Bowie from art rock innovator to global superstar. The album's title track, along with Modern Love and China Girl, dominated MTV and introduced him to a new generation of fans who knew nothing of Ziggy Stardust or the Berlin Years. This mainstream success came with a price. The polished pop sound and designer suits of the era marked such a dramatic departure from his experimental past that some longtime fans accused him of selling out. Bowie himself later admitted to feeling creatively adrift during this period, chasing commercial success at the expense of artistic satisfaction. Yet even as a mainstream pop star, Bowie continued to expand his artistic horizons. His acting career flourished with memorable roles in films like Labyrinth, where his portrayal of the Goblin King introduced him to yet another generation of fans. He also demonstrated his business acumen by pioneering Bowie bonds, selling the rights to his back catalogue for $55 million in 1997, creating a new financial instrument that other artists would soon emulate. The late 80s saw him temporarily retreat from solo work to form Tin Machine, a hard rock band that confounded critics but allowed him to reconnect with his experimental roots. Though commercially unsuccessful, this period of reinvention proved crucial in helping Bowie rediscover his artistic voice. It demonstrated that even at the height of his commercial success, he remained willing to risk his reputation in pursuit of new creative horizons. If you had to explain David Bowie's impact to someone using only one song, which track would you choose? Share your pick and tell us why it captures his essence. Later years and legacy. The turn of the millennium saw Bowie entering a quieter but no less innovative phase. After recovering from a heart attack in 2004, he largely withdrew from public life, making rare appearances and taking time to focus on family. Yet his influence continued to grow, with new generations discovering his work and artists, from Lady Gaga to Arctic Monkeys, citing him as an inspiration. In 2013, he surprised the world with The Next Day, an album released with no publicity or advance warning. The strategy itself became a template for surprise releases that artists still follow today, but it was his final album, Black Star, released on his 69th birthday and just 2 days before his death in 2016, that provided his most powerful closing statement. Black Star revealed itself as a carefully orchestrated farewell, its jazz-influenced experimentalism proving that even in his final days, Bowie refused to rest on his laurels. The album's themes of mortality, transformation, and transcendence took on new meaning after his death, transforming from art into prophecy. Today, Bowie's legacy extends far beyond music. He showed us how art could break down barriers between gender, sexuality, and identity. He demonstrated how reinvention could be both an artistic strategy and a path to personal growth. Most importantly, he proved that true artists never stop evolving, even in the face of death itself. In the years since his passing, David Bowie's influence has only grown stronger. Each new generation discovers him anew, finding their own meaning in his kaleidoscope of personas and fearless creativity. His message was simple yet profound. Be yourself by being all the selves you dream of becoming. In a world increasingly focused on authenticity, Bowie showed us that our truest self might be found in constant reinvention. He proved that art could be both deeply personal and universally transformative, leaving us not just with music, but with permission to explore the stars within ourselves. Thanks for exploring the extraordinary life of David Bowie with us. If you enjoyed this journey through music history, don't forget to subscribe and hit that notification bell for more stories about the artists who shaped our world. Share your favourite Bowie moment in the comments below, and let us know which musical legend you'd like us to feature next. Until then, in Bowie's own words, turn and face the strange.